The following thing I'm about to read is a short story. Some themes may be very graphic, so if you are easily squeamish or triggered or uncomfortable, I suggest not proceeding with the rest of this video, and I appreciate you coming nonetheless. Rampant in the modern streets is a disease of choice. Sometimes that's the worst thing life could inflict soft-minded beings, because they manage to make the wrong ones. Walking through a guarded entrance, the hard-boiled cop arrived on scene. Cameras flashed, mucking everything in a temporary stain of wash-white paints to document the happenings. The cop, or detective, was here to glaze over the scene and piece together what the hell went on in this rinky-dink cracker box they'd walked into. Bodies were littered around, busy with the job, and by a feeling in the air, more sat rank to have a gander at. Detective had no qualms of seeing dead people, but something pushed them over the edge when it was an animal. People had the words to defend themselves, or reasons that could bring them to being dead. But an animal? They weren't as capable, and that was enough to make a hard ass lose their breakfast, even if it was just black coffee. The beetles and shell bugs sucking at its rotted neck, the ones where thinking about makes your skin burn as if hell decided to rain down on a section of you. Detective stood there, hands shaking, staring hard at the poor thing, wondering who could do this. Holding back soft gags, skin itching like a sinner's in church, body rigid and square. Someone chose to do this. How could anyone choose to let something suffer? The detective thought about it over and over, writing notes on anything that had a choice behind it, which isn't a lot when you connect the dots in the end. The who is what putting the puzzle together would hope to answer. Whenever you found that guy, the detective would have to find out a way, or of why they did it. And she'd give no shits about it, unless her hands did a bit of talking first. There's always a better way than leaving a house, a family, a garden, and a dog to rot away like trash. Nothing forgave those bodies being where they were, and that's what the detective wondered all the time. Controlling everything wasn't possible, like anyone thought. Parts around us broke, and you can't always fix them. But when someone's heart is replaced by their ego, it turns into protecting the image of their perfect world. That larger-than-life ego crumbling wasn't meant to happen, so it becomes easier to crush the perceived cause than to treat the effect. Because the logical step there, safeguard the wound. Although a paper cut isn't any reason to litter a cracker box that happened to be worth more than the city's police force and hardware. Detective's desk sat in a corner by the window. That way her face never let rookies know she was losing it. She read the notes over and over, looking for theories of why to connect with a who. But there was nearly nothing. No mysterious prints, clean of any trace of a stranger, clipped nails on the victims, even cut out the mutt's tongue and teeth. It was someone they knew, or at least someone who knew their dog. Staring at all this drove her mad. Then everything felt loud, gained an echo, all piling onto her weighted mind. Snap! No one thought anything of a fellow cop having a hard day, but no one expects the silent detective to stand up, kick the shit out of a hardwood desk, and flip it over in a peak of fit rage. All the detective saw was red at that moment. She couldn't handle the thought of someone just wasting people or things they loved. Who would ever do that? Her captain told her to go home and blow off steam. Come back tomorrow with fresh eyes. Hands shaking and anger cutting off a word to fight back, She took her coat and shouldered past onlookers who said something about what she'd done. That was a bad choice. But the whelm of it all couldn't be stopped by rational thinking. So the instinct was to break apart what was nearby, just like the perp had. Slamming the apartment door shut, the detective chucked her badge at the wall, then turned to kick the door. Needing more, she knocked her head a few times until a hard tug on her coat pulled her out of range. A roommate and on and off again lover stared at her face, wondering what made her so angry. Shaking her head, the detective still had no words of what she was thinking, what she couldn't stop seeing, and where she'd rather be than in her skin. To forget, the lover pulled her shoulder holster and into a kiss. Fighting against it, she grabbed at the lover's arms, hoping that a hard squeeze would turn them away, but it didn't. The lover pulled more at the strap, making her growl at how she didn't want this, yet couldn't object with words. The strap was a leash, attached to a hurt soul, being pulled for a moment of passion, somewhere away from where the detective was. More clothes hit the apartment floor, changing that hurt to forward motion. Kissing, biting, hair tugging, scratching, thrusting, moaning, sweating. Forward feelings that didn't let her fall back to what she'd seen. The whelm, even for some minutes, hushed, all by choice. The detective had a persona being front-laced, brash, and direct. Getting the work done when no one wanted to. A decorated cop stereotype always in a movie or show. Though she couldn't escape that, the job was taking a toll on her. Nothing about her case left her head, even when the file went cold or ended up closed. Everything revisited her, old or new, and got the best of her, showing a rare crack in her decorum. She wondered why people left a mess and thought the stink wouldn't get caught or noticed. How could they get up and walk by it, smile and wave while it catches flies and camera flashes, and not worry about a damn thing on it? Even in the middle of a good fuck, the detective thought of stopping and dealing with the trouble she'd be in tomorrow with her captain. She found that difficult to do when the lover's body was with hers, giving release to the built-up frustration. The little nest of problems would become a festered mound the longer they went unanswered or dealt with. After a pillow talk and a night's sleep, the process repeated. A shower to wash off the day before, a strong cup of Death Wish, a capful of extra special Irish cream, and going over case notes before a quick goodbye, then out the door. The detective answered for her decisions yesterday and went back to her diligent work, calling the roommate to say thank you and an invite for some lunch. The day went a little bit better, although she kept a picture of that hard beetle shell necklace pup propped up within her eyesight to remind her why she had a job. She didn't care more about the dog than the others, but no part of her could stomach seeing a pregnant lady, a months-old baby, and a little boy with that on them. That would only want to make the detective lose her mind again.